Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have an update to share about a January 6th participant that I've mentioned in the past. His name is John Benuelos. He was identified a long time ago, but he still hasn't been arrested, and he took a gun onto the Capitol grounds on January 6th. It's right there in his waistband. It's in his photo, and Benuelos admitted to the police that he was at the Capitol, he had a gun. He told the police in Salt Lake City, Utah, that the FBI, quote, hasn't gotten me yet. He also was arrested in July of 2021 for stabbing a man to death in a park. For some reason, that case, though, it has never gone to trial. But during that investigation, Benuelos told the police officers that he was a conservative Republican, something I can attest to because he has left comments here on my YouTube channel many times. And the investigator said that Benuelos, quote, talked about going where Donald Trump sent him. So the guy is clearly a MAGA supporter who does not understand, apparently, how MAGA feels about Hispanic people. But we'll set that part aside. So here's the deal. There's now this new January 6th conspiracy because this new evidence has just emerged, and MAGA is trying to use it to convince the sheep that the Capitol attack was a, quote, Fedsurrection. That's what they call it. So for those just listening to the podcast, what I'm showing on the screen right now is a photo of Benuelos. He's standing on the inauguration scaffolding on January 6th, and he's firing his gun into the air. The video shows him firing the gun twice. Now, I don't know if I can show the video because I'm not sure what the copyright restrictions are, so that's why I'm just showing you a still photo. But this video was shared on Rumble. It was shared by January 6th convict Derek Evans. He is trying to convince his audience that this proves that January 6th was a setup. Now, I know you guys are probably thinking, what are you talking about? How do they, you do this pretzel logic and come up with this stuff? So here's what he's saying. Evans ignorantly is referring to Benuelos as an unknown agitator, doesn't even know who the guy is. And he claims that because Benuelos hasn't been arrested yet, this must have been a setup. So I guess they've moved on from Ray Epps, right? They don't want to get sued for defamation like Fox. But here's the deal. Here's why this is so laughable. It is such a laughable effort to distract from their own crimes. As I've said before, if this was all a setup, then Trump supporters fell for it. So that excuse isn't really the flex that they think it is. Second, Benuelos fires a loaded gun in the air, and Trump's mob just stands there. I'll leave the link for you guys in the description box on YouTube and the podcast so you can check it out yourself. No one screams, no one runs, no one really reacts. I mean, compare that to what happens in these situations with mass shootings where people hear gunfire and they take off running. If Trump supporters really thought that day was supposed to be a peaceful, free speech protest like they keep claiming, why aren't they freaked out about someone shooting a gun? It is 100% illegal, by the way, to take weapons onto the Capitol grounds or even to DC unless you have a permit, a DC permit. This crowd acts like, no big deal. Why? Why? Because they knew damn well that Trump supporters had weapons that day and they were cool with it. So this completely refutes all of the MAGA bullshit about how this couldn't have been an insurrection. No one had a gun. No one was armed. No one used a gun that day. I mean, we all know the truth, right? I've shared the many cases with all of you about January 6th defendants and convicts who had and used weapons that day. And I challenge every MAGA supporter out there in the country, go read through all of the 1,300 arrest affidavits, as I have. Then you can take issue with what I'm saying. When you know the facts as I do, I challenge you, MAGA, to go watch all of the January 6th Select Committee hearings in full. Go see and hear the police chatter from that day, talking about how members of the mob were carrying AR-15s and other weapons. Go do it. I dare you. Unless you're all too afraid and too weak to know the truth. So anyway, Evans clearly doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't know anything about the January 6th investigation, because if he was paying attention, he would know, as you all know, as I know, that there are still hundreds of people out there who have been identified by the FBI, who have been identified by the sedition hunters, and they haven't been arrested yet. This is not some grand conspiracy. This is just the way the government and the courts work. As you all know, the FBI has been on a roll lately. They've been arresting a ton of new people in recent weeks. There are some that I haven't even shared with you guys yet because they were arrested a while back, like some in December. But the courts still haven't released their affidavit. It's still under seal. So I don't want to put out a half-ass arrest video without all the details. But more often than not, these new people, these new defendants, were first interviewed by the FBI right after the Capitol attack in 2021. But the Justice Department was far too inundated. They were completely overwhelmed with cases. The courts were already backlogged as well because of COVID-19. So they purposely held off charging a lot of these people. If they knew who they were, if they knew where they were, if they knew that they weren't a flight risk, then they just set those aside. It seems like they just put those on the back burner. They focus their resources on the bigger cases like the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys. So these people are just making stuff up to fit the narrative, to take the onus off of Trump supporters, and to fill, what they don't know. They don't know what they don't know, so they just make something up. It is amazing to me what conspiracy theories and lies these election deniers can come up with to fill the void in their empty heads. God forbid they actually do some research. God forbid they actually educate themselves. Might terrify them what they actually learn. Might blow their minds to find out they've been wrong about everything. All right, I will let you all know if I hear more. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.